A letter about the feeling of identity loss, to myself and whoever else needs to hear this. Google's definition of identity loss or identity crisis is a period of questioning who you are and what you value due to a big change or stressor in life. Over the past year, I've been navigating what I think you can call identity loss, that I decided to quit dance in the way that I used to and give up on being a professional dancer and feeling completely lost within myself, confused and questioning who I am or what I want. I identified as a dancer for as long as I remembered, introducing myself to new people as a dancer, and on the yearly family reunion, people would ask me, "How is the dancing going?" Then all of a sudden I had to face the fact that this was something I no longer connected to. It has been taking me a good year to come to the point where I now feel okay with it no longer being part of my identity. I feel kind of silly about saying this, but I think during this year, processing this identity loss kind of felt like going through the stages of grief. I've been trying to put into words this whole experience, but never really succeeded, and I think that's because I was still going through all of it. Detaching from this version of myself took a lot longer than I expected, and at the same time I think it's something that is not often spoken about. Now I want to put a disclaimer and say that everything I share is from my own experience and perspective. I think it's important to highlight that everyone's experience is different. I don't mean to receive any pity, but rather want to share this experience, and maybe in some way we are able to connect. I don't want to go into too much detail as to why and how, but rather focus on what I've learned during this period, thanking dance for what it has taught me and brought me. So I decided to make a list of some of the most important lessons or things that I do take with me from this time to remember, and express gratitude to the people I've met along the way and that have supported me. Discipline. Dance has taught me an immense amount of self-discipline, maybe sometimes even to the point of extremes, but when handled in a healthy and balanced way, this self-discipline is something I can take with me for the rest of my life. Just this knowing that if I want something, I have to align my actions with it. Usually nothing in life is given. Try and try again. If it's not working, I try again. If it's still not working, I will find a way. Friendship. This is one of the most meaningful things that I will always carry with me in my heart. Dance has brought me so many meaningful friendships. Sharing passion for something so intense, training together for so many hours a day, getting close in such a short period of time because each other is all we have, often leaving family to pursue dreams and continue training in different places in the world. The people we dance with become family, and I'm extremely grateful for having been able to share this experience with so many others. They often say that dancers are competitive, but in my experience, the dance community is also so loving and supporting. It has taught me to take care of others, to see others and connect to others, to listen to others, also allow others to do that for me. Doing and being are different things. Dance has taught me that doing and being are separate, and I believe should stay separate for oneself to remain and not get lost in ego. For so long I identified as a dancer, introducing myself as a dancer, making the act of dancing my whole identity, instead of me being a full being who dances. Now I'm learning to separate what I'm doing from who I am. Trusting my intuition and my inner voice. Maybe this is one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, and I have to tell you, it really took some time. Trusting my inner voice. Maybe this is not something dance taught me directly, or I didn't allow dance to teach it to me for a long time because I knew what it would mean. But in the end, I learned to trust my intuition, which also meant that I had to listen to my inner voice saying, "It's enough." I learned that everything will fall into place. This is a thing I hope I dare to face for the rest of my life, because lying to myself is, I think, one of the most draining things I have ever done. I'm grateful for having been able to experience all of this, even if facing the truth about my relationship to it was extremely uncomfortable and hard to do. Dance did teach me to stay true to myself. Seeking outside validation will not give you inner motivation. Now let me explain this. For me, dance was more often than not about receiving outside validation to create this motivation to keep going. I noticed that I would post all of these improvisation videos on Instagram while being in very low stages of inner motivation, and I was craving to receive validation so that I could feed my inner motivational flame again. But this ended up never being enough. Always going out looking for more, because I didn't have something from within that was already enough to keep the flame burning. And I have to tell you, wanting to be a professional dancer, or I think any kind of profession, it's hard to do without this flame. It has taught me that if you have to look outside for motivation to keep going with something, it is probably something you won't be able to keep on doing for the long run. In the end, it's only you that can keep the flame burning without it burning out. I'm not saying give up on your dreams the moment it gets hard. This is part of every profession. But what I am saying is that the moment you start lying to yourself about wanting to keep going, or maybe one more step, or maybe one more step, without the actual inner motivation to keep going, it's going to drain you. And it's probably the moment you should start reflecting. Get to the bottom of this feeling, and you will find out if it's time to go into a different direction, or if you just need another way of approaching this thing that you are doing. Dance has taught me to face obstacles and get to the root of things so that overcoming is easier. Again, your truest inner voice already knows what decision you have to make. You just need to stay open enough to receive the answers and trust that you will find your way. Maybe now the things I'm talking about are shifting a little bit into another direction, and I think it's a good moment to not go into this part too deep and connect the dots again. I think grieving a past version of yourself is something that is very much part of the human experience, but not much talked about, which is why it feels so scary to let go of something you've been holding on to without this sense of true connection to it. Being truthful with myself is the most valuable lesson I have learned over this year, ironically through dance. And if in any way you connect with what I'm saying, I hope you can trust me when I say that it will get better the moment you stop ignoring your inner voice. And to go back to the identity loss part of this story, right now I'm finding my way to do the things that truly make me happy without identifying myself with those things. I don't know if I yet understand what identity means to me, or who I am, or who I want to be, or what I do identify as. But maybe for now I can be someone who does what brings her joy. And that way she will try to live a full life, allowing all to enter and all to exit. Emotions, situations, people, relationships, memories, everything is flowing in and out. A very good friend of mine once said this: attached to nothing, connected to everything. Thank you, Jamie, for that one. It took me some time to understand, but I think I do now. Right now is about learning to let go of control and trusting that I will find my way through the waves of this beautifully complex life. On that note, I will end this letter. I guess this letter is a way for me to finally fully process and finish grieving the identity loss of my wannabe professional dancer self. She is in a much better place now. I am learning to say thank you to this version of myself and slowly reconnect with that little girl that just enjoyed to spin around the house without having it be all she identifies as.